Have you ever found yourself in a new conversation, maybe struggling a bit past the weather talk, wondering how to really, connect with someone? Or maybe you've stumbled across a word, one you definitely know, but it just sounds different in real life compared to, say, a textbook. What if unlocking just a few of these little conversational secrets could totally change how you connect with people? Welcome to the deep dive. We sift through a whole lot of observations and insights to bring you the really useful stuff. Today, we're diving into something super fundamental, really core to how we connect. Talking about what you love to do, your hobbies, your interests. Our mission today, to give you the words, the phrases, the confidence really, to share your passions and understand others better, and we'll uncover some surprising twists along the way. Okay, let's get into it. When we talk about doing things for fun, outside of work or school, what are we actually referring to?
Yeah, good question. So, at its heart, a hobby traditionally is something you do just for enjoyment, not for work, not for school. It's purely because it makes you happy.
Right, simple enjoyment.
Exactly. It's an activity you choose.
So what kind of activities are we usually talking about here? What are the common ones people get into?
Oh, it's a huge range. Lots of people are into physical stuff like doing yoga, playing sports, swimming, cycling, maybe fishing or camping, exercise, just general working out. That's really popular too.
Hmm.
Then you've got the creative side art, photography, playing music, and of course, lots of folks enjoy quieter things, reading, gardening, or even just chilling with Netflix, watching TV shows or movies.
Gotcha. And what about the word interest? How does that fit in? Is it basically the same as a hobby?
That's a great question. And yeah, often it really is the same thing. If you think about the word interesting, right? Interest as a noun kind of carries that same feeling as hobby. It's another
Hmm.
really useful, very common word. What's kind of fascinating, though, is how we say it. Often it's just two syllables, interest, not three, like interest.
Oh, right, like interesting. I hear that.
Exactly. That slight difference in pronunciation is super common in natural speech.
Okay, now here's something I find really, really interesting. You'd think hobby would be the main word we use, the go-to, right?
Mhm.
But there's a bit of a catch in actual conversation.
Yes. Okay. I have something I kind of need to get off my chest here, and it might surprise you.
Uh-uh.
In everyday natural English chats, we often don't use the word hobbies that much,
Mhm.
honestly. You'll very rarely hear someone just ask, "What are your hobbies?" or say, "Oh, I have lots of hobbies."
No way, really, but it's everywhere in English learning books.
Exactly. That's the paradox. It's super common in textbooks, in learning materials, but less so when you're just, chatting with people. You might hear it sometimes, maybe in more formal settings, perhaps a news report or something, but for casual small talk, it's less common.
Okay.
The real key is figuring out how to talk about all those fun free time things without always needing that specific word hobby.
Right, so if we're maybe sidestepping a hobby sometimes in casual chat, how do we talk about the stuff we enjoy? What are some easy, natural ways to bring it up?
Well, there are four really common, really simple sentence patterns that people use all the time. They are, I like to, I love to, when I have time, I usually, and I wish I had more time to. Super useful.
Okay, I like to, I love to. When I have time, I usually, and I wish I had more time to. Could
Well,
you give us some examples? Put some meat on those bones.
absolutely. So instead of saying something a bit stiff like, my hobby is socializing, you'd naturally say, I like to meet up with my friends. See?
Yeah, much smoother.
Or, I love to have a good meal with my family. For things you do regularly, when I have time, I usually have friends over, or I usually surf on the internet.
Okay,
And for those things you dream of doing more, I wish I had more time to just chill on the couch. Or maybe, I wish I had more time to read books about self-improvement.
that makes sense. It sounds much more
Mm.
immediate, more personal.
Yeah.
What about specific activities? Do these patterns work for everything?
Pretty much, yeah. You can totally say, I like to watch TV, or I love to go to the movie theater, I like to play the piano. For outdoor stuff, we often use go for O. So, I love to go for a hike, or I love to go for a walk. That sounds a bit more natural than just saying, I love to hike.
Nah, go for a hike.
Yeah. And some activities are just verbs themselves, like garden. You can just say, I like to garden.
Simple.
And then some activities use do, like yoga. I wish I had more time to do yoga. The main thing is just using these common, comfortable phrases to say what you enjoy.
Okay, that's really helpful for talking about ourselves. Now, flipping the coin, how do we ask other people about their interests? We've got some direct questions that can really get a conversation started right.
We do. And actually, circling back to the word hobby, sometimes a direct question can work, especially if you're meeting someone new, maybe at a party or a social event, asking, "Do you have any hobbies?" Or "Do you have any interests?" They mean the same thing can be a perfectly fine starting point.
So, okay, in some
Yeah,
contexts.
as an icebreaker.
And if you wanted to ask that same kind of thing, but maybe a bit more conversationally.
Then the classic is, "What do you do for fun?"
Yeah.
That's just a fantastic natural question. It basically means, "What are your hobbies?" but sounds way more relaxed.
What'd you do for fun?
Yes, and just be careful. Remember that little word, do. It's crucial. So many learners forget it. Practice saying it. What do you do for fun?
Got it. What do you do for fun? Okay. Are there other ways to ask about how people spend their non-work time?
Definitely. Another really common one is, how do you spend your free time? This gets at what someone does when they're not busy with obligations, when they have time to themselves.
Hmm.
And very similarly, you can ask, what do you do in your free time? They basically ask the same thing. Though notice how often goes with spend, and what do you do doesn't use spend.
Ah, interesting pairing.
Yeah, it's just a natural collocation. And again, with what do you do, just remember that do.
Always the do. Okay. What if you want to encourage someone to share a bit more, not just list things?
Right. If you want a more detailed answer, an open-ended approach is great. Something like, tell me about your hobbies, or tell me about your interests. That phrasing invites them to elaborate, to tell a bit of a story.
Like an invitation to share more?
Exactly.
And is there a really casual, maybe even slightly more modern way to ask?
Yeah, you could ask, what kind of things are you into?
Into.
Yeah, the phrase, I am into something, just means you're interested in it, or it's a hobby. Like, I'm into reading, or I'm into basketball. It's super common, very casual.
Okay. What kind of things are you into? I like that one.
It's great. My tip here is, don't try to memorize all of these. Just pick one or two questions that feel comfortable for you, that kind of roll off the tongue easily, and practice them so they sound natural when you need them.
That's solid advice.
Yeah.
Now, this is where it gets really, really interesting, especially thinking back to what you said about not always using the word hobby. Sometimes the most natural way to find out what someone likes doing is, well, not to ask directly at all.
Precisely. You nailed it. In a lot of daily, just casual back and forth, we often find out about interests indirectly. A brilliant, super common starter is just, what did you do this weekend? Or what did you do yesterday?
Just asking about their recent past.
Exactly. So when someone says, maybe, oh, I went to an outdoor skating rink, boom. You just learned something they enjoy doing. No hobby question needed.
It's like discovering it organically through the conversation.
Totally. Or you can use your own activities as a starting point to find common ground.
How does that work?
Well, say you mentioned something you did, like, I like for a hike on Saturday. Then you can follow up with a related question like, have you ever been hiking up at Craggy Gardens? Or maybe, do you ever read science fiction, if you were talking about books?
So you're offering something of yours and seeing if there's a connection.
Exactly. You're trying to find that shared interest, that overlap, without directly asking, what are your hobbies? This is a really popular and honestly very natural way to explore what others enjoy doing.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense for just everyday chat. But what about situations where you are kind of intentionally trying to get to know someone better, like maybe a first date or a networking thing? Are there direct questions that still feel natural?
Yes, absolutely. For those more structured moments, some direct questions work perfectly well and don't sound stiff. A really good one is, what kind of things do you like to do?
Using things keeps it broad.
Exactly. It uses that general word, things, which makes it feel very natural and open-ended. And similarly, what you like to do in your free time is another great direct question for those getting to know you scenarios.
Okay.
You could even follow up on something they mentioned, like, so what other things do you like to do besides hiking? If you say it casually, it works really well, even if you don't know them that well yet. It shows you're listening and want to know more.
So it's kind of about reading the room then. The indirect questions are great for casual, flowing conversation.
The everyday stuff.
And the more direct but still natural-sounding questions like, what kind of things do you like to do, are better for those specific times you're intentionally trying to learn about someone.
That's a really good way to think about it, yeah. Those first two approaches, asking what they did recently or asking if they've done something you enjoy, those are perfect for weaving into daily chat.
Right.
And the latter two, what kind of things do you like to do and what do you like to do in your free time? They're excellent tools for those moments in life, dates, interviews, meeting new colleagues, where a more direct approach feels appropriate and expected.
Okay, this is all brilliant for starting the conversation. But, just getting an answer like, I like gardening, isn't really building a connection, is it? So what's the next step? What does this all mean?
Ah, yes. This is crucial. When someone shares an interest, don't just nod and say, oh, cool. That's your moment. That's the golden opportunity to keep the conversation flowing, to show genuine interest.
It's like they've opened a door, and you need to step through it.
Exactly. This is where you dig deeper, as they say. You've got that key piece of info. I like to garden. Now it's time to ask some follow-up questions to learn more about why they like it, how they do it.
Okay, so what are some good, effective follow-up questions?
Yeah.
Ones that don't sound like you're grilling them.
Yeah, you definitely don't want it to feel like an interrogation. 4 really common and effective ones are: first, how did you get into that?
Meaning like, how did they start?
Exactly. What's the origin story? Second, how long have you been doing that? Shows you're interested in their experience level.
Okay.
Third, did you grow up doing that? This one's great for activities that people often learn as kids, like playing an instrument or a sport.
Mm-hmm. Taps into nostalgia, maybe?
Could be.
Okay.
And fourth, do you usually do it alone, or do you have friends who do it with you? This explores the social side of their interest.
Those are great. So, how did you get into it?
Yeah.
How long have you been doing it? Did you grow up doing it? And do you do it alone or with friends?
Mm-hmm.
And the secret is not asking them all at once.
Definitely not rapid fire. Weave them into the conversation naturally. Listen to their answer to one before asking another. And here's a really, really crucial tip for making a real connection.
Okay.
If you find some common ground, or even something remotely related, share your own experience.
Reciprocate.
Yes. So if they talk about gardening, and maybe you used to have a tiny balcony garden or your parents' garden, share that. Even if your story is about how deer ate all your tomatoes, which actually happened to me once, sharing that little personal bit creates a fantastic basis for connection, even friendship.
That makes total sense. It shows you're listening and relating.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, as we kind of wrap our heads around all these different ways to talk about what we love, maybe it's a good moment for everyone listening to, reflect a little. What do you really like to do for fun?
Yeah, think about it. And maybe think about how you'd express that using some of these phrases we've talked about.
Because actually engaging with this stuff, thinking about it, practicing it, it's not just about learning words, is it?
Not at all. It genuinely makes your conversations richer, more authentic. It helps you connect better.
Absolutely. And hey, if you want more insights like this into communication, language, all sorts of interesting stuff, make sure you follow and subscribe to the deep dive. We've always got more coming.
Definitely worth doing.
So this whole deep dive, it's really shown that talking about hobbies and interests, it's so much more than just swapping facts, isn't it?
Oh, completely. It's about connection. It's finding that common ground, seeing what makes someone tick, really understanding them on a different level.
And the language we use, whether it's direct or a bit more indirect, that really shapes how deep that connection can go.
It really does. Understanding these little nuances gives you so much more confidence, makes your interactions feel more real, more authentic.
Which brings up a pretty powerful thought, I think. How does sharing what brings us joy and really learning to ask about and appreciate what brings others joy, how does that actually open up new worlds for us, new friendships?
It's a fundamental part of building relationships, isn't it?
It really is. A powerful tool to have in your conversational toolkit.
Well, thank you for listening to the Crystal Clear English podcast. If you found this valuable, please hit that follow or subscribe button wherever you're listening.
It helps others find us and ensures you won't miss our next deep dive.
And as a final thought to leave you with, something that really captures what we've been talking about,
Remember,
learning another language is like becoming another person.